All right. Just starting by introducing myself very quickly. My name is Dr. Assis Malaquias. And by the way, you'll get to learn how to pronounce both my names well. In the first, soon after we meet personally. I'm the chair of the department. I've been here for 3 years. Prior to this, I spent about a decade with the Department of Defense. I was at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. And when I was at the National Defense University, basically I was in charge of maritime security in Africa, designing maritime security strategies for Africa on behalf of the United States government. That's what I did during my years in Washington. Prior to that, I spent 12 years in New York, upstate. I was a professor of government at St. Lawrence University. And for the last couple of years, I also was the associate dean for international and intercultural studies. My areas of specialization, they're basically 3 areas. I combine politics, economics, and security. Those are the 3 areas that I study, and those are the 3 areas that I teach. So that gives you a little bit of a background of who I am. I will ask maybe Dr. Wade, if you don't mind, saying 1 or 2 things about yourself, just as way of introduction. So you muted. So Andrea, can you unmute Dr. Wade?
There we go. Thank you. Well, thanks, Assis, for the introduction. I apologize, or I guess please excuse the outside and the baseball cap. I actually look like this. There's a terrible glare out here, and I have children that are 4, 6, and 8 years old, and a couple of DIY home improvement projects going on. So outside's my best chance to have a little bit of peace and quiet. So my name is Dr. Ryan Wade. I'm really excited so many of you were able to join us today on a Saturday. So thanks so much for that. So I'm starting my, excuse me, 15th year in August at Cal Maritime in the Global Studies major. I've been around quite a long time. My areas of sort of specialty for coursework tend to fall in the areas of international and domestic maritime policy. Also have a little bit of a background as well in security, energy politics, and environmental politics as well. I have a PhD from UC Davis, University of California, Davis, and my undergraduate degree is from Santa Clara University in Santa Clara, California. I work really closely with Dr. Malaquias on a bunch of issues, not only from, sort of course design, program, the future of the program, the direction of we're going to take the program in the future, but also just as good friends. And so, we really appreciate having Dr. Malaquias, kind of take the reins of our program a few years ago with his really, really exciting and deep background in security issues. We really see that space of our major being a real important aspect of what we're going to be doing going forward, in addition to everything that we already do quite well. So, usually on preview day or in the fall, I can help if anyone has questions that are institutional knowledge questions. 15 years at Cal Maritime, always in the global studies major. So certainly if you guys have any questions, I probably know the answer, not always, but most of the time I do. And so I think the conversational format today without the presentation should work just fine.
All right, thank you very much.
Try to keep my hat up as much as I can here. It's just terrible glare.
That's fine, that's fine. Thank you very much. So Andrea, maybe you should introduce yourself, and then maybe we'll get everybody else to introduce themselves as well.
All right, so hello everyone. My name is Andrea Sendejas. I'm the Southern California Enrollment Counselor for Cal Maritime. Thank you for joining us today on Zoom. I have muted everyone, so when it's time to introduce ourselves, I will unmute you. As you can see, we have Zoom bombers, as these open meetings tend to have. So thank you for kind of braving it with us. What I can try to do as well is share my screen in terms of the presentation. See if that works better than your presentation has. So let me just make sure I can share this.
I mean, this is the major for you. I mean, I'm hearing armed forces careers. I'm hearing law enforcement. I'm interested in international relations. I'm hearing I'm a sailor. I'm hearing just about everything that makes me think that we've got, I can't count here, 12 or 13 folks that are gonna really, I think, fit this like a glove. And Marlon, I'm also in a Sacramento backyard right now, so.
Yes, absolutely, Ryan. As I was listening to everybody, I was saying, my gosh, this is an absolute perfect fit. So yeah, no, okay, good. So in addition to Professor Wade and myself, we have several other colleagues in the department. We have Dr. Diane Meredith. She is our China and Southeast Asia specialist. Those of you who are interested in China issues, Southeast Asia issues, Indian Ocean Rim, she does that a lot. Issues of migration, issues of cross-cultural competence. That Dr. Meredith, she's your person. In addition to that, in addition to her, we have Dr. Kate Samler. Dr. Samler does a lot of work on ocean environmental issues. She does a lot of work on GIS, Geographic Information Systems. And she also does quite a bit of work on Pacific Ocean Studies. She does a lot of work on that. We have Dr. Jennifer Metz. Professor Metz, she focuses on maritime history. She teaches course on a lot of not just maritime history, history courses generally. U.S. government, she covers that as well. And then Dr. Donna Ninsich, she's an emerita professor. That means that she basically she is semi-retired. Let's put it that way. She's semi-retired. She still does a lot of work in the department. She teaches courses on maritime security, polar politics. She teaches a course on cybersecurity, but she's mostly not on campus. But we still lean on her for a lot of the work that she used to do. And by the way, she used to be the chair of the department before I stepped in. All right, so that's basically the team. It's a very solid team that's going to be working with you. It was really interesting when we were going around the virtual table and try to get a sense of everybody's interests and what brings you to Cal Maritime and to the global studies major specifically. A couple of themes kept coming up. I want to understand the world better. I want to travel the world. I want to join the government to travel the world. I want to join the military to travel the world. So very, very interesting that you come to us already with a very deep sense of engagement with the world. Very, very, very important. It's almost as if many of you already see yourselves as wearing two hats. One, the hat of the citizen of the United States, and the other hat, that of the citizen of the world. Very, very, very important. The other theme that kept coming up was the theme of security. A lot of you want to come to global studies because you are interested in security issues, whether it's the military, whether it's the US Coast Guard, and I'm sure some of you will go on to do other work in other areas of security, whether you're talking about intelligence, law enforcement. Somebody was talking about security at sea, maritime security. Even if you talk about maritime security, you can. There are several other aspects. There are several other dimensions to maritime security, whether it's port security, whether it's container security, whether it's actually going out there doing operations at sea to ensure that the highways, the maritime highways that we use for basically everything, 90% of of global trade is maritime based. Very, very interesting that you already have a very good sense of what you want. What I can assure you is that global studies and maritime affairs will be a really, really useful platform for you as you pursue all your interests, academically and professionally. So a few facts about the Global Studies and Maritime Affairs program is one of a kind. There's only one like this in the United States at the undergraduate level. For you to encounter some of the things that we cover in the department, you basically have to do graduate studies. Somebody was talking about counterterrorism. There are graduate studies out there that focus on counterterrorism, but not too many that will actually will teach you classes that cover counterterrorism at the undergraduate level. So it's a very, very, very unique, very, very unique program. You want to give me the next slide? Right. So, Andrea is helping me out remotely with the slides. So I'll probably just give you maybe a thumbs up so you can give me the next slide. So a few things that I just wanted to mention as about what you should expect as a GSMA major. You'll be taking all of your GE classes before you, of course, you get the degree. You'll be taking a lot of core courses in maritime affairs. You'll be taking your elective GSMA courses, in several areas of interest. And we are beginning to make the transition in the department to have a greater focus on security, a greater focus on security. Right. And just to give you a sense of some of the courses that you'll be taking in a major, you'll be taking courses like ocean politics, international relations, comparative politics, political geography. Dr. Wade teaches a very, very popular class on international maritime organizations. Uh, I teach a course on maritime security. I teach a course on homeland security, and on and on and on. We have a variety of really, really, really uh, not just useful courses, but not just interesting courses, but courses that will really prepare you for some of the careers that you are thinking about pursuing. Next slide, please. Some of the elective courses. Some of the elective courses, you went one slide too fast, but that's okay. Some of the elective courses, as I was mentioning before, include courses on China, courses on geopolitics of energy, for example. Dr. Waite is a very popular course on that, international law. And by the way, you're not just going to be exposed to courses that cover global issues. Dr. Wade, for example, teaches a very popular course on Maritime California. So, state level courses as well. Next slide, Andrea, please. The other thing that you'll be doing as a major is to complete a senior thesis research project. And again, this is your capstone. There's an opportunity for you to really dive a little deeper into a particular issue that's of interest to you. And of course, you're not going to be working all by yourself. You're going to be working with a professor. So there's and after you put together your thesis, you'll have an opportunity to actually showcase your work to the community. So we have this really wonderful event where all the seniors present their posters that kind of is a distillation of what they put together in the thesis, and it's a really, really campus-wide event that attracts a tremendous amount of attention. I don't know if you want to say something on that, Ryan, both on the courses and on the thesis. Just make sure that I didn't leave anything out.
No, I think you covered it pretty well. So we have, it sounds like, some true freshmen coming in, and we've got some third-year transfers. And so, of course, transfer students will be working closely with Dr. Malaquias to ensure that we can, to the extent possible, move you through the program in 2 more years and get you graduated. And so be sure to work closely with Dr. Malaquias over the summer to make sure we've got as many of your courses dropped in. If you're coming on a transfer agreement, of course, makes that a little bit more straightforward. But I just want to sort of reemphasize, especially given the nature of a lot of what I heard when the students had a chance to share a little bit of their interests and background, is that while we're going to, of course, maintain what you've probably seen online with our curriculum sheets to the extent possible, that really this idea that we are going to continue to grow our offerings in the security space. I know Dr. Malaquias certainly is modest beyond what he should be. Just to sort of reemphasize, he's essentially famous globally in the space of maritime security. Travels to still, as a chair of our department, still has afforded the opportunity to travel globally and lead, not participate in, but lead maritime security training exercises between the United States Navy and regional navies. I believe last year, Dr. Malaquias had the opportunity to lead the Oban game training in Gabon, West Africa, and not simply participate, but in fact be the leader of the entire operation with the Fifth Fleet and the West African navies. And so that's an area that we're really excited to continue to grow. Dr. Malaquias has already offered and is continuing to develop courses in strategy, every aspect of security, the links between strategy and security. And so I think that for certainly a lot of you, that dovetails quite well with your interests. And one other thing I will mention, because I'm sure I'll talk about this as we move through the presentation, that I forgot to add when I introduced myself, was that I heard several people talk about travel and that they've been abroad, gap year abroad, interest in travel. I forgot to mention that while being a full-time faculty member, I'm also the director of international programs on our campus. So I'm also an administrator, and I not only run our international experience program, which we'll talk about down the road, but also I'm in charge of all study abroad as well. So for those of you interested in learning more about study abroad opportunities, please feel free to send me an email, rwade@csum.edu at any point during the summer. And I'd be happy to sort of get the ball rolling on those opportunities. The earlier we get ahead of sort of, what your interests are and what you're going to want to do with your study abroad. I am the one person on campus that takes care of all of that. So other than that, Dr. Malaquias, I think you covered it quite well as usual.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Ryan. Here going also chatting a little bit with Kyle's. He did a wonderful job introducing himself to the group via chat. We have a really, really fantastic group of students joining the department in the fall. I'm very, very excited. One of the things that we are all living through is some very interesting times, very, very interesting times. And I bring this up because global studies, the understanding of the world, will become more and more and more important into the future. If you look at COVID-19 from a strategic perspective, he caught everybody by surprise, didn't it? He got absolutely everybody by surprise, but he shouldn't have. Let me tell you a story. I was teaching my maritime security class, and in January, I have one of the things I do in my class is we start every single class with a review of our strategic environment. Assess the strategic environment, kind of take a panoramic view, and tell the whole class, what do you see? And one of my cadets came to class. This is when the very few signs that there was something happening in China pertaining to the coronavirus, some very preliminary signs were emerging. So he briefed the class and he said, well, Prof, we have a global security crisis in our hands. I said, well, that's interesting. And I said, well, Cadet Agbayani, what makes you think that? So he laid out to the whole class what he thought was the incoming crisis. And he said, look, first of all, Prof, I do not believe what the Chinese are saying. I do not believe what the Chinese are saying. I believe that first is an underestimate in terms of the numbers. And he also says that I do not believe that the velocity of transmission is being accurately portrayed. That's point number two. Point number three, he felt that we were not immune. He felt that the virus would be reaching the United States and it would have a massive impact much earlier and faster than we're anticipating. Listen, I kid you not, this cadet, he laid out basically what we are facing today. In fact, I sent a message to my cadets a couple of weeks ago reminding them that one of their own predicted what is happening in our country today. In fact, I told them, look, Agbayani should have been an advisor at the White House right now. Because had it been at the White House, probably Dr. Fauci, the country would be in a much better shape than it is today. Why do I say this? Why do I say this to you? This is the kinds of conversations we have in our classes, all of our classes in global studies. We challenge our majors to think at that level, to understand the world so well that they can actually begin to predict where we're heading, what should we do, and how we should do it. One of the things that we learn in global studies is really having such a profound understanding of the world that you can then position yourself to impact it. Because when you go out there, you are expected to have an impact on the world. And how are you going to impact the world if you do not understand it? How are you going to enhance the security of our own nation if you do not understand the security of the world? And so on and so forth. So it's, as you were talking about, and you're mentioning traveling the world, understanding the world, issues of security, military, and so on, this is what we do. This is our bread and butter. And you'll be interacting with other cadets who also have a passion. It's beyond an interest, it's a passion to engage with the world with a view to impact it. So I just wanted to say that. Andre, do you want to give me the next slide, please? Right. So the next few slides just give you a sense of some of the things that our seniors have been working on. So their projects, both the topics and the posters. I anticipate for the next 3 to 5 years or so, a lot of the work that will be generated will probably focusing on COVID and our vulnerabilities. Because one of the things that COVID really highlighted was our vulnerabilities. The fact that we were not able to anticipate at the national level the crisis. The fact that we did not have adequate responses, immediate adequate responses. The fact that we, in many ways, we're still looking for ways to organize ourselves to respond to threats like this. I expect that a lot of the work in the next few years from our cadets will be focusing on that. But just to give you a few examples, we have cadets looking at ship breaking in the Indian Ocean. Another slide, please. Infrastructure, critical infrastructure. This particular cadet was looking at catastrophic blackouts, how that might impact national security, how that might impact California. Next slide, please. Another cadet did a very, very, very good study on state power grabs and the melting of the Arctic. Next slide. You can go through these. Brexit. Next. This was a really interesting study that one of our cadets did on a multicultural cruise. This is the reality. You look at all the crews that just kind of in this all around the world. Shipping now is rests on multicultural crews. If you are able to navigate the multiculturalism, you are able to navigate the seas. Next slide. Dr. Wade was talking about study abroad, global opportunities. Maybe I'll give the mic back to him just to cover this.
Sure, yeah. So as I said before, we all tend to wear several hats at Cal Maritime, and one that I wear is as Director of International Programs. And so just sort of quickly here, so we can move on. But again, if you are wanting more information on opportunities beyond our International Experience Program, which I'll speak about now, please rwade@csum.edu, email me at any time, and we can continue that conversation. So as you may have noticed, those of you that have had opportunity to look at the prospective curriculum sheet and our curriculum maps, we have an international experience program built into our major. So it's a required course. It's taken generally during summer session after your sophomore or junior year, and depends if you're a transfer student or true freshman, what makes the most sense. It's required. It's a 3-week summer program for 3 units required towards graduation. And we generally send, we sort of cohabitate the program with the International Business and Logistics program. So GSMA students and IBL students travel somewhere in the world. I saw we had a pre-question about, do we know where we're traveling next summer? I had seen that already come across this morning to my email, and the answer is no. These are faculty proposed programs. So faculty propose programs, and then we vet those programs and select the ones that make the most sense for our cadets in a particular year. We've been all over the world. As you might imagine, we had to find a new solution this summer. So this was one of the largest challenges that our campus did have to go about. What do we do with our international experience program? We had 70 students that were already signed up to go to 3 different countries this summer, and one was Italy, of course. And then we also had a program to Vietnam, where we've been every year for a decade. We have a very close relationship with Vietnam Maritime University, a very, very close sister school of ours. And then Dr. Malaquias, indeed, was taking a group of students to South Africa. Of course, that became extremely untenable by late February and early March. And so we needed to sort of, as everyone in education's had to do, find solutions. So particularly for those juniors and the few seniors that were in the program, we've developed some online options that, of course, we're doing the best we can to capture as much cross-cultural study as we possibly can, but to ensure that those students graduate on time. And so as of now, we're not sure about next year's international experience program, because the situation, as you all well know, is very, very fluid. It's very dynamic. You know, we were hoping, just for any of you hoping to travel with us next summer, especially if you are a transfer student. Next summer is the summer that's going to make by far the most sense for you. You will be updated as information comes in from the president and the provost to my office as to what our plans are going to be. We should have a final, we should know probably our final decision will likely be made by October, no later than early November, for logistical and cost reasons of what we're going to be doing. And so I will be giving information out to all students as it comes out regarding international experience next summer. But a traditional program, 20 to 25 students with a faculty member and a faculty assistant somewhere in the world where we are, you know, doing as much academic content as we can, at the same time making sure you're getting that cultural immersion to the extent possible. We have other opportunities to study abroad, one-year programs, full-year programs through the California State University IP program at the Chancellor's Office. We have single semester programs. We have lots of opportunities to study abroad. So please just go ahead. Beyond our international experience program, you'll be provided that information directly from me. But if you do want to sort of get ahead of the curve and find ways to study abroad, or at least understand what your options are for study abroad, just get in contact with me and we can sort of start that process, you know, the sooner the better. Does that pretty much cover it, Dr. Malaquias?
It does. It does. And thank you very much.
I believe these next several slides as well for Andrea, these are just pictures from past international experience.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So I just wanted to, you know, we're coming to noon almost, and I just wanted to see if there are any questions that you may have for Dr. Wade or myself about the program, about, you know, opportunities to use the degree in useful ways as you pursue your careers to impact the nation and impact the world. Any questions?
And Dr. Malaquias, before we take questions, I think I can probably preempt a couple of them that we always get. And so let me kind of cover those real quick and then open up the floor. So as you might know, you have part of the graduation requirement is a co-op or internship, means the same thing. And you do that, you can do more than one, but usually generally after sophomore or junior summer, you will do an internship. It's a 3-unit summer course. You work with our career services department for that. But what I did want to make sure I got out there was I heard a lot of students on the chat today talk about prospective military careers. So we have the overwhelming majority of students who are going into the United States Armed Forces at Cal Maritime are global studies majors, and it's not close. The overwhelming majority are with us, as well as those of you looking for a career in law enforcement. Almost all of them are global studies majors. Over time, we have made a very real effort. Here's our internship slide here, to work with career services to ensure, and we finally did get this settled and locked in just 2 years ago, that for those of you hoping for a career in the armed forces, that officer candidate school, or OCS as you probably know it, does now count as an internship. Does not mean that you can't do another one. You certainly can, but we really were trying to work with our, you know, our hopeful armed forces career students, help them out as best we could. And we finally got that with some help from career services, some help from Dr. Malaquias. We were able to get that settled. So if you do decide to do OCS after junior year, is most likely when most of our students do it, that can count as your GSMA co-op, and you will move towards graduation on time without having to do an extra one. Excuse me. Another question I saw in the pre-chat was about ROTC. The answer is yes across the board. We work with all ROTC programs across all of the 5 branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. So if you're thinking about NROTC at Berkeley, if you're doing regular Army ROTC, we have Air Force ROTC. We work with the Marine Corps. We are the major that has by far the most consistent contact with not only the each of the 5 branches, but also all the ROTC programs. So there will never be an issue with ROTC. If you need to, for example, NROTC, if you need to be in Berkeley on Fridays, we work with you and we make sure you're in Berkeley on Fridays. So, and Coast Guard, of course, as you probably know, if you're Coast Guard, we have Coast Guard liaison officer on our campus. And so that's a very, very simple and straightforward. Lots of our students are not only Coast Guard ROTC, we have Coast Guard, we have reservists across every armed force right now. We also have a lot of students that go into the MARGRAD program for the Coast Guard, and we have a liaison officer on campus who can work through the MARGRAD program as well. So just, those are generally questions we get right away about internships, armed forces, and ROTC, and no issues there. One last thing I will say, because we generally get this question, is about foreign language. I heard someone was already through level 3 high school Chinese, if I'm not mistaken, is what I heard. We may have some native speakers of a different foreign language. The way our foreign language program works is that you need to complete 2 semesters of university level foreign language that can be completed elsewhere. So if you've done some at junior college, if you have a skill set that you believe can get you through that, if you can test out of a foreign language, we will provide those resources for you. You simply need to be able to take the final exam of foreign language 2 of whatever your language is. In this case, it was one of our prospective students is Mandarin. You will be waived through foreign language. If you're a native, say, Spanish speaker, you just take the Spanish 2 final and we can move you through that way. So generally, after 15 years of doing preview day, those are some of the questions that seem to come up every year. And I'll open the floor up to any other questions.
Also, I'm just going to interject. Army ROTC is not quite under contract yet. It is working towards in Berkeley, but it will be coming, but it's not quite under contract yet.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of Army ROTC in the past that we've just worked with independently.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again very, very much, Ryan. Any questions from the group?
That's good. Thank
I have a question. So can that go to any language if you want to test out?
Any language at all. So we only offer on campus Spanish and Chinese, but you can test out of any language. We just work with finding you the resources to connect with a professor that can administer a foreign language 2 final exam to you. Oftentimes it happens, we take, French, someone will administer and then do an online oral, and then they let us know, okay, yes, this cadet has passed the foreign language or German or whatever else, and then we accept that as passing you through foreign language. American Sign Language, we pretty much everything.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
One more question. Can you take foreign language in your first year? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, traditionally, the way, if you're going to take it at Cal Maritime, and the way our curriculum sheet is set up now, you can take it, you can take it either one, freshman, spring, fall, or fall, spring, or sophomore, but usually freshman is very common. That's how we have it set up now. You can also take it, like some students choose to, they want a different language, or they've already taken, say, high school, they were a French student, and they would prefer to continue their French education. So a lot of those students, what they tend to do is they'll take French 1 and 2, like at a junior college during summer, something like that. We accept that perfectly fine. There's also a lot of online programs where you can, accredited universities where, they don't want to do Spanish or Chinese. So they just take it under, take the bull by the horns themselves and do it. We accept transfer units from all accredited universities.
I had another question. So since COVID-19 is going on, what do you see happening in the spring of 2021? Are we still going to be doing distance learning by that point?
Well, that's a very good question, and not too many people know the answer. Not too many people know the answer for sure. I personally believe that the nation will respond, and will respond very, very quickly, very, very aggressively. We got caught unprepared, but this is a very resilient group. We'll bounce back very, very, very quickly. I personally believe that We will go back to school in the fall. And I personally believe that there will be a combination. There'll be a lot of creative ways of teaching that we'll have to embrace. Some of it may be like distant learning. Some of it may be over Zoom or platforms like this. But we will come slowly but surely back to the normal way of teaching and learning, which is face-to-face personal interaction, because there's no substitute for that. And I'm an old school prof in that sense. There's no substitute for the personal interaction, whether it's in the classroom, in the hallway, in the office, out in the around campus. There's no substitute for that. And we will rise to the challenge as a nation, and we'll find ways to do that. Obviously, this will depend a lot on what happens in the public health domain. And that's an area that I personally don't understand very much. I'm not a medical doctor, but even there, I trust our ability as a nation to deal with a crisis like this. Again, we were caught unawares, we were caught unprepared. We will not stay down forever. This is a matter of weeks. This is not a matter of years. We'll come back as a nation, because this is a resilient, very, very, very resilient nation. So it's a long-winded way to answer your question. I think that by spring, by about this time next year, we'll be back to normal. And the normal will be a different definition of normal, yes, granted, but we will not be teaching over Zoom forever.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more. Since we still have the summer course summer before we go to Cal State Maritime, can we use that time?
Go ahead.
Could we use that time to enroll, let's say, at a community college to bump up your GPA, but will that affect me becoming a transfer student, or no?
I don't think so. I don't think so, Stacy. This is a very good question. You should use your summer productively. We by law, we have to accept up to 60 units. By law, it's not a bargaining issue. By law, this is the law. So we have to accept 60 of your units. Which 60 of those units you want to present to us, it's up to you. Okay,
so she can still come as a freshman.
No, but I'll be a transfer. Sorry, I'm talking to my mother.
Oh,
No, it's okay. Stacy, are you a true freshman
Yes, I am a true freshman as of right now. I did not enroll in any community college during my entire gap year. I do not want that to be messed up and have me do 60 transfer credits in order to do this if I want to.
No. So the way it works, and Dr. Malaquias is right, is by law we have to accept up to 60. But your status as either an incoming freshman or a transfer student is sort of unrelated to that for someone in your position. And so the way that that's directly impactful on us is that we have transfer agreements. And these are for people who actually obtain an associate's degree. Right? So if I've obtained an associate's degree after however many years of junior college, we have a legal obligation to those students. We get lots of students, in fact, a whole bunch of true freshmen, coming out of high school or haven't been, that bring in lots of units. And what all they're doing is they're just speeding up their process through our program. I mean, we had a student come in this year with 5 5s on AP scores. And there were 15 units worth of college coursework already done. We had another true freshman that had taken college level courses all throughout high school. All of those units came in and transferred in exactly how they're supposed to by law, and she still entered as a true freshman. And so if you want to sort of start taking some general education courses, or of course, nothing will be face-to-face right now, but online, you know, if you want to take some general education courses you see on our curriculum sheet, if you'd like to get your language requirement, you know, sped up or completed, those are all things that you would simply come in and we would check that box prior to even coming in. So it's a way to sort of, if you feel like you want to accelerate your program or take a lighter course load once you're here. No problem.
Yep.
Yeah, so really quickly, for admissions purposes, you are still considered a first-time freshman if you took those college courses while you're in high school. So that only shifts is if you're taking those classes after graduation, then we cannot like apply as a first-time freshman.
Okay, that was my question because I already graduated high school.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, okay.
Or coming in, but Cal Maritime, we also offer lower division transferring. So if you've been admitted with what we've already have of you, then that's your admissions process. Like that, it's different. Yeah.
Okay, so she has been admitted as a freshman. That's all completed. Can she use her summer?
I cannot.
Because let them answer the questions with you. Can she use her summer to take courses prior to coming in as a freshman? Even though she's admitted as a freshman, she doesn't have to reapply, right?
No. Yeah. She doesn't have to reapply.
Okay, so she can take summer courses at our local community college in Los Angeles.
Right. And then if they're part of the transfer agreement, so the CSU general education courses, those are going to transfer into the Global Studies and Maritime Affairs program.
Okay. No, Stacy, what that means is you can transfer up to 60 courses to Cal Maritime. That's the agreement. But being able to take the classes, that's what we want to find out. If you can kind of start a little ahead of time before you go. And that's what they're saying is okay. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay.
Even though I graduated last year?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Joseph? Joseph.
Oh yeah. I have two questions.
Go ahead.
The first one is, so if I'm participating in the NROTC program, is transportation to Berkeley provided on Fridays?
No. The university does not provide transportation over to Berkeley. But we've had several cadets who have participated in our program, and they usually figure out a way to get there. And yeah, so once you get here, we're probably gonna have to maybe figure out how to do that. But in my experience, that has never been a problem.
Yeah, students tend to carpool together. You know, there's usually about between 1 to 10 students, depending on the year. So what I've heard from students who are in the NROTC program is trying to do like carpool together forth to Berkeley.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then I was also wondering, I've taken some AP classes. So like, would they count for the general ed here? Like,
so AP classes give you a GPA boost in the admissions process, but in order to get the transferable coursework, you have to take the exam.
yeah, I've done that.
The exam. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good questions. Any further questions?
One more question. If you're going to join the Coast Guard, like would you join the ROTC program for the Coast Guard?
That's a good question. Ryan, do you know the details?
Sure. The best way would be to contact our on-campus Coast Guard office. We have a Coast Guard liaison officer that's on campus, and you can make original contact, obviously, via email whenever you'd like as an incoming student. But certainly, you know, if you'd like to have like more information, a sit down sort of face to face, then certainly when you come to campus in August, make an appointment and see our officer down in the Marine Operations Building, and they will walk you through everything you need to do to join whatever types of Coast Guard programs that are available. There's more. There's several programs that are available, and our students do have certainly sort of a leg up, being that we have someone on campus.
Thank you.
And in addition to that, you'll find cadets who are very much interested in the Coast Guard here, and they have they'll guide you through the process. So in addition to the liaison, we have probably about a dozen cadets or more who are going through that process. So that peer support will be very useful to you as well.
Yeah, for those of you interested in the Coast Guard, I'd say the earlier you start learning about some of the programs, especially the MARGRAD program, which is specifically for graduates of maritime academies. A lot of our students do go into that program. Those are the kinds of things that you want to sort of have your eye on early, so that you're well prepared and know what's coming as you get to junior and senior year.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great questions. Any further questions or comments?
I saw on the screen earlier the class catalog. Do you know where we could find that?
Yes, so I'm gonna show you how to find it on our website. So, and this goes for pretty much anything you need in terms of looking up, you know, our coursework, our everything that goes into the catalog will be on our website as well, and the military options. So if I'm just gonna show you real quickly, so let me do this for you. So if you go to our main web page, can everyone see this? You'll see at the top here where it says Apply Explorer, you click on the menu. If you go to the academic catalog page here, it'll take you to our digital catalog. And then curriculum roadmaps is the roadmap for all of our programs. So it's going to come up all of our programs here. You scroll down to Global Studies and Maritime Affairs, so that's GSMA. You click on the most recent one, and this is what our students are seeing for coming in fall 2019. This is what their curriculum roadmaps will look like. And then I think the faculty can talk a little bit about how, if it differs for 2020 or anything that's coming up for that. But you can print this for yourself. And then we were having a conversation about what transfers and the general education courses at a community college you can take. So usually it's all like lower GEs that they call it. So you can kind of see where you can plug those in along the way if you're planning to, you know, be taking summer classes or anything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the military options, it's about the same. So you just go back to our little menu at the top here. And you can go through, I believe, our admissions webpage. Military options here. And then I'll give you the list of the different kind of links to what we offer. If it's something that we have on our campus, it'll go to the campus website. If it's something that it's like off our campus, it'll give you who to contact for like the Navy ROTC and what that entails. So it gives you a little breakdown of what that is. Okay, as well as the contact information for people.
Thank you very much.
I have a question discussing like classes that need to be taken for transfer students. How will we know what classes we need to take on the list? Because I know it's for like MET for the 4 years, but if we're coming as a junior or a sophomore transfer, like what classes do we need to take, or how will we know?
So when you come onto campus, they'll have all of your coursework evaluated. So our transfer counselor, along with the registrar's office, takes a look at your coursework and what you have and what it fulfills. And so you'll have like a transfer transcript on our for Cal Maritime as to where that plugs in.
Okay, and when will we know like what classes we need to take, or like will we be automatically added into them?
So usually those conversations start a week or two prior. So as a transfer student, your transfer report will be up before coming to campus usually. And then you'll meet with your advisor and you can take a look at that and see what your next one looks like. Usually what happens is your first semester, we tell students what classes they're going to be taking. And for transfer students, that might, it's different because it's everyone's transfer path is a little bit different to Cal Maritime. But that's a conversation that you have as your, usually our students enroll in classes when they're in orientation. When orientation happens the first week before coming to campus.
Okay. Oh, you muted.
Yeah, so I know that it's vague, but they're going to take a look at your personal transfer report and then go from there to see what your roadmap will be looking like. But again, we do have transfer agreements with community colleges. So if it's a CSU general education.
Okay, sounds good. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess all I can say is that I really appreciate you coming to this virtual meeting. And I hope that next time we see you again will be in person. All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming.
Stay healthy.
Meeting you all in the fall.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
All right.